What's up guys, welcome to TED Talks FPL, form versus fixtures. It's time to look at the final 2 game weeks of the season, which attacks are attacking and which defences are defending, which are the best options to have. Let's take a quick look. But first, let's take a look at my own team, and I'm pleased to say I had a great game week, up to 138 in the world, outstanding stuff. A game week score of 117 with my triple captain played on Mo Salah. Any of you tuned in last week would have seen me deliberating on my Liverpool assets, which ones to pick, Mane or Salah. Pleased to say I went with Salah, but Mane could have equally had a equally high score if he had put that hat-trick away. That final headed chance would have been a big swing for those Mane triple captain owners. But I think if you had any of 3 of the 4 Liverpool assets that did well, Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, Mane, Salah, then you would have had a good game week. Man City did well. Laporte, outstanding defender recently. Loads of clean sheets. Sterling, a bit of a lag, but they were held to a tight game at Burnley, and they managed to salvage that goal right at the end with Aguero. It keeps their title hopes alive. Lloris and the Spurs chaps didn't do as well as I hoped. Had a bit of a lull with their 1-0 defeat to West Ham. Let's hope they can bring things around in their Champions League game, and indeed Bournemouth at the weekend, more importantly for our fantasy Premier League teams. Jimenez and Gray ticking along nicely with over a goal apiece. I'm not sure I'm going to be playing Gray much for the rest of the season. He might be a transfer out option at some point. Even Rondon and Valerie picking up some points on the bench, and I'm hopefully going to play them in the coming weeks. I think the team picks itself for next week. I think Duffy and Gray are going to come out, and Valerie and Johnny are going to come in. Brighton go away to the Emirates, whereas Watford go away to Chelsea, Stamford Bridge. So Valerie, Southampton have got West Ham away, and Wolves have got Fulham at home. So much better fixtures. I'll be playing a 4-5-1 next week. Not sure who to captain yet. I think the options are Jimenez, Sterling, Salah or Mane, all with decent fixtures. Jimenez arguably the best fixture, Fulham at home. I haven't quite decided, guys, whether I'm going to use my free transfer this week, so let's take a look at some form versus fixtures to see whether the teams with the best fixtures are worth investing in. So let's start with the attack of each team. Here we've got attacking form versus fixtures. We've got fixture difficulty on the left-hand side. Basically, the higher the team is on the graph, the better their fixtures. The teams at the bottom will have poor fixtures, and the further to the right they are on the graph, the more goals and assists that the team is expected to score and create. So we're just going to solely look for the teams to the right of that white dotted line. That white dotted line is represented of the tolerance that we are looking at. Basically, we'd be more inclined to pick players from a team with a less prolific attack if they had good fixtures, whereas to keep faith with a team who had poor fixtures, we would need a team to have a very strong goal scoring potential. The only team to the left of that dotted line, which I think is still worth considering, is Wolves. They've got a fantastic fixture next, Fulham at home, but then it's worth getting rid when they have Liverpool away. Some of the key teams to focus on there, Liverpool with the strongest expected team XGI of all of the teams. It's been quite a while since they overtook City, but they've done it now. The most prolific attack in the Premier League, it seems, with a couple of good fixtures coming up. In fact, all of the big 6 seem to have 2 very good final fixtures, all very prolific. Arsenal, the less so out of the 6 than Tottenham, and more interestingly to us, probably Man United with those plum fixtures, Huddersfield away and Cardiff at home. There has been some doubts over Rashford and Lukaku's fitness recently. Will they be available to face Huddersfield and Cardiff? Otherwise, there could be some cheap differential options open to us, or we can go for defenders. Pogba is a big enigma at the moment. His only attacking returns in the last few weeks have been 2 penalties. Is he going to suddenly fire on all cylinders against these smaller clubs? Who knows, it might be worth a gamble. Chelsea next with Watford at home and Leicester away. Eden Hazard seems the only option in that forward line. I think Watford at home is a really good fixture for Hazard, but Leicester away I think is a really tough one. Leicester have been in good form recently, and I don't think they'll roll over to Chelsea. Some of the more budget-friendly options we have at our disposal here are Southampton, Fulham, West Ham and Palace. And I think Southampton in particular offers those really good budget enablers for our squads. Southampton have got West Ham away and Huddersfield at home on the final day of the season, with a number of attacking assets that we can target, such as Nathan Redmond, who plays a bit further forward than the rest. And then we've got Ward-Prowse, Højbjerg, Shane Long at 4.6 million. He's a cheap forward option to go for. Danny Ings is a bit of an injury worry. He played the last game, but you just don't know whether he's going to miss out or not. There are also the defenders to consider, but we'll come to them a bit later. Fulham seem to be in good attacking form. You've got the likes of Mitrovic and Babel to choose from. I think Babel's in really good form. I think Mitrovic has got the underlying stats, and I think he could be a really excellent differential for people wanting to climb those overall ranks. He could be a contender for the final 2 games in your forward lineup. West Ham have another couple of good fixtures. Southampton at home, Watford away. A number of interesting options have arisen in that West Ham team. Mikel Antonio seems to have become an option now that Arnautovic has picked up this muscle injury after the win at Spurs. Antonio's had 2 goals in his last 2 matches and could be a real contender for our squads in the last 2 games of the season. The other options are Felipe Anderson, but he has only had 1 goal and 1 assist in his last 10 matches, so he seems to be in a bit of a dry run, so maybe worth steering clear of the Brazilian winger. Palace, the last team on the list with a couple of good fixtures. Cardiff away, Bournemouth at home, a couple of cracking fixtures there. I think the choice here is between Zaha. He's been a constant threat for his penalty assists all season long, and then you've got of course Milivojevic, the penalty taker, has had more penalties than anyone else in the entire league, but then again, picking a player just for their penalties seems a bit of a risky pick. But Zaha seems to be the most creative out of all of those players. Another option has arisen is Benteke has pushed Batshuayi out of the team. He's got faith of the manager through longevity. Batshuayi is on loan, so Roy Hodgson wants to give Benteke games to get back up to speed for the next season. Can expect him to maybe get something in the next couple of fixtures with excellent deliveries coming from the wide areas. I think Cardiff and Bournemouth are great fixtures for Benteke, and he should be at least considered for our squads. So summarising here, we've got probability of each team scoring at least 1 goal per game. And the standout here is Southampton for me, up there with Liverpool, Man City and Man U for team goal probability. For me, I'm going to look at considering either Shane Long or Nathan Redmond for the final game week of the season, using maybe saving a free transfer this week and then using 2 free transfers to bring in a budget enabler to maybe upgrade one of my other options. But for me, Southampton's a standout option there. I think teams like Brighton, Burnley, Cardiff, Huddersfield, Leicester, Newcastle, Watford are ones to avoid if you can possibly can. Taking a look at defensive form versus fixtures, let's move on to take a look at the most prolific defences. Man City, by far and away, the strongest, tightest defence at the moment. Leicester at home, Brighton away to come. Man City have got 5 clean sheets in their last 6 and remain the most prolific defence. If you haven't got a Man City defender, it would definitely be worth considering for the final 2 games of the season. Next up, Everton, surprisingly, with the next strongest defence in the last 6 game weeks. They've got Burnley at home and then Tottenham away, so mediocre fixtures, but might be still worth playing your Everton players if you've got them, and maybe even bringing a defender in from Everton. The likes of Lucas Digne is always excellent for bonus points and even assist potential, and even goal potential is great on a free kick. Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, next strongest defences, and Man U with those excellent fixtures. Still worth considering a Man U defender like the likes of Luke Shaw. I think he could be an interesting pick. Recently, their defence has been a bit shaky, however, with David De Gea making a few terrible mistakes. Is that likely to continue, however? I don't think so. So I think Shaw remains a decent pick for Man U. And then we've got the teams that we mentioned before, Southampton, Crystal Palace and West Ham, as interesting differential options. Even though we mentioned in favour of Fulham for their attacking form versus fixtures, it doesn't look as if Fulham are viable defensive options. They've been pretty poor for the entire season, so why change a habit of a lifetime? Don't bring in Fulham defenders. And the worst of them all, Huddersfield. Anyone playing Huddersfield, you should at least consider bringing those players in, or at least captaining them. Southampton at the final day of the season could be a really interesting differential captain shouts. Just summarising those findings on clean sheet probability, we can see Man City far and away the most likely to keep the clean sheets in the last couple of game weeks. That would be my priority. If you don't have a Man City defender, definitely look at the likes of Laporte and maybe even Ederson. Liverpool have a good couple of fixtures as well, and a very tight defence. You've got the likes of Alexander-Arnold and Robertson with incredible assist potential. If you haven't got 3 Liverpool, it may be worth doubling up at the back with both of those. Maybe just bear in mind rotation with the Champions League coming up on Wednesday night and then the following week. But I think it's fairly unlikely that both get heavily rotated. Robertson is less likely to be rotated because Moreno, his replacement, is less favoured amongst the Liverpool staff, and I think Alexander-Arnold may suffer from slight rotation with Joe Gomez. We've seen him being replaced in a couple of games recently, so it's worth keeping an eye out for that one. So other options focusing on the next 2 game weeks, clean sheet probability, we've got Chelsea, Everton, Man U, Southampton and Spurs. I think are all good options for the next couple of game weeks. We have teams that have one good fixture in game week 37 and then a poor fixture in 38. The likes of Wolves, I think, are still worth considering. Fulham at home, I would fully expect them to have an excellent chance at keeping a clean sheet. All in all, I hope that was really helpful, guys. Best of luck with your decisions and your transfers this week. Let's all finish the season strongly. If you've liked the video, leave a like, a comment, and please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time, guys.